Am I the asshole for showing my husband proof that his mom offered to bring him steak dish to the hospital? My husband was in a car accident last week. He was staying at the hospital for his broken leg. Only me and his mom were there. His mom and I don't get along at all. He tells me I'm overreacting or paranoid whenever I point out how she's mistreating me. He complained about hospital food, saying it had no taste, and asked me to make his favorite meal, which is steak dish, and bring it to him at the hospital. Noting that steak isn't cheap where we live and I didn't have enough time to prepare it. I told him I will see what I can do. Then his mom said if I'm truly a supportive wife then I'd make it happen. Once we went outside his room, his mom's tone changed. She suddenly seemed nice and said that she could see how exhausted I was and so I should go home and not worry about the steak dish because she said she'd make it for him. I asked if she was 100% sure and she said, absolutely. The next visit I showed up and my husband asked why I didn't bring the steak dish he asked for. I saw his mom there. I told him his mom offered to make it for him instantly and told me not to worry about it. He didn't believe and was like, Mom said that? I'm not buying it. Mom, you really said that? Her reaction shocked me. She acted confused and said that I'm his wife and she didn't know why I'd expect her to perform my duties for me. I was confused and didn't know what to do. My husband seemed upset the entire visit and I waited till his mom left to talk. I swore to him his mom said she'd take care of it, but he said he didn't believe me. I pulled my phone out, called his mom and put her on speaker so he could hear the conversation. I said, didn't you say you'd make the steak dish and that I didn't have to worry about it? She relied, I did. But I obviously wasn't actually going to do it. I was just trying to help my son see how his wife is during the rough times and you took the bait. My husband raised his eyebrows. He got pissed. He called her later and picked a fight, then said no more visiting. She lost it, called me petty and manipulative and blasted me on Facebook saying I stopped her from seeing her son only because I couldn't get her to do things for me like cooking for my own husband. Now his family are criticizing me for this. Not the asshole, but your husband and his mother both are. Who TF demands that people bring them steak dinners in the hospital? He didn't like the hospital food. What a baby. Edit. To everyone chiming in with, he didn't demand, he asked. Like that's some clever, gotcha. When someone throws a tantrum about not having their request met like this, it's no longer just a request. Also, his wife did what he asked. She made arrangements to get him what he wanted. He just called her a liar for no reason. Something in this story doesn't add up though. I mean, if the husband didn't trust his mother to bring him food, and was apparently surprised that she would, why would that be so hard to believe? Why would he believe her word over his wife's? Not the asshole she called you manipulative? To be honest, he doesn't sound ideal. I'm sure he can cope with hospital food for a few days. Also bring a steak dish? It will be cold and a mess to eat. Just bring him pizza or something. Saying that she set you a surrendered wife test and got angry when her precious son caught her red-handed? If you don't have children already, I'd suggest you move as far as you can. She will make your life hell. You're clearly, in her eyes, a deficient wife. Next you'll be a deficient mother. NTA, but even though the mill is horrible, I hope you recognize that your husband is a major asshole too. Not the asshole. This is classic narcissistic behavior on his mother. Why is your husband angry at you for not bringing a steak? He is in the hospital. Hospital food is bland by design. I've had some great hospital food the few times I've had it. It is about expectations. Is he even allowed to have outside food? Exposing your mill is epic and was needed. If anyone criticizes you, explain what happened and be done with it. I would also have a long talk with your husband about his behavior. I am more concerned your husband told you he didn't believe your version of events. He doesn't know how his mother is. You are his wife. Has she caused other problems in your marriage? Be sure to show him what she is putting on FB. Tell the other family to butt out. Op is not the asshole. The mother-in-law is majorly ta. The husband is a bit the asshole for demanding a steak dinner. The husband is majorly the asshole for not standing up for his wife all along. Am I the asshole for having my neighbor's car towed after she boxed in my fiancé's car in our driveway? My fiancé, 30 female, and I, 29 male, barely moved into this house a few months ago. The first week we noticed a car parked right on our driveway which obviously didn't belong. When we went outside, the lady who lived next door asked if this was okay. Her house is right at the corner of the street and there's no driveway. She said the last owner was fine with letting her park there, so she hoped we wouldn't mind. Our driveway is big enough for 2 cars, so we said for now it was okay. After our son was born and I had to go back to work, we decided to buy a second car so it's easier for her to get around. All 3 cars don't fit, so we had to tell our neighbor she can't park there anymore. Ever since it's become a whole issue. Once she was parked behind me when I was leaving early in the morning, so I had to go banging on her door at 6 a.m. She had the audacity to be mad for waking her up. I reminded her she can't park there again, so we thought she got the message. Second time was when we were on our way home from the park. She was already parked there, so we would have had to park behind her. I went to go knock and she said she was just putting her groceries away since we weren't home and the driveway is closer. This last time when it happened my car wasn't working, so my brother came to pick me up early. My fiancé had to take our son to his 4-month appointment, but the lady's damn car was parked right behind her, so there was no way for her to pull out the driveway. She told me the neighbor wasn't answering the door. It got late, so she had to reschedule his appointment. I came home after and called the cops to come deal with this because I was just so tired. Since they couldn't reach her, they did end up towing her car. Once she found out, she was at my door angry. So she was a few blocks down at a friend's house, which is why she didn't answer, but now she says she's stressed because she doesn't have the money to get her car back and it's our fault. Since both our cars were there, she assumed we were home, and if anything we would have used my car to pull out of the driveway. My neighbor kept complaining how fucked out we are going to that extreme, making her lose her car when she absolutely needs it. We have just ignored her since then, but now every time we're stepping out she glares right at us. I've had my car towed before too, so we know it's a nightmare of a fee to get it out of impound. That's why I ask if I'm the asshole. It's been almost a week since this happened with still no sign of her car parked on the street, so obviously she hasn't got it back yet. Not the asshole. You asked nicely, she ignored you. You pounded on her door on repeated occasions not so nicely, and she ignored that you didn't want her parking there. The next logical step was to get the car towed, because she wasn't getting the message. Bet she won't park there once she has her car back. Problem solved. Also, if the doctor charged you for an office visit that you had to cancel last minute, I would send the bill to her too. Don't expect her to pay it, but at least to realize that she is costing you for being ta. Edit. My first award. Thank you, internet stranger. In my opinion, you gave her too many chances. None of this was your fault, you were 100% clear with her from the beginning. Your neighbor has some seriously skewed way of rationalizing this. Don't let it rub off on you. Not the asshole. She doesn't have the money to get her car back. That's her problem. She was warned multiple times not to park there. If anything, we would have used my car to pull out. No. That's not how life works. You don't ask someone for a favor, like parking on their property, and then expect them to also cater to you. Take a specific car because you're there. If someone is being nice and doing you a favor, you try to make that favor as least burdening as possible in return. Not the asshole. That's your property and you were kind enough to temporarily share it. You were kind enough to give her multiple chances. She kept pushing the boundary and she learned what happens. Hell, not the asshole. If she continues to park there, have her towed every single time. That's the only thing that will deter a person this insanely entitled. You've been, if anything, overly generous. Not the asshole. Oh my god, this sub is making me realize that weird parking issues I have with my neighbors are not so weird after all. Why is it so hard for people to respect the space of others? Why? Someone tell me why. Not the asshole. Fuck that. You asked her more than once to not park there. Also, her agreement with the previous neighbors is not your problem. Am I the asshole for humiliating my aunt in front of our family and a nurse? My grandpa recently suffered a stroke and is staying in the hospital. I, 18M, was visiting him in his room along with some family, including my aunt and her 2 kids. He had been taken to have tests done that would take a while, so my aunt suggested that we all go out to lunch in the meantime. At that point, a nurse had come in to put on fresh bedding. My aunt started looking through my grandpa's belongings to find his wallet and goes, "We can use Papa's money to buy our lunch. He would love that for us all being here." Note: this aunt is literally one of the stingiest people I know despite being extremely well off. She's the type of person to go to the bathroom when she sees the waiter coming with the bill. Obviously I was angry that she would suggest using his money or think anyone else would go along with that, so I spoke up loudly and asked her, "Can't you afford to spare some of your husband's money to buy your own lunch, or are things that bad?" She shot daggers at me and then looked embarrassed the rest of the time we were there. After we left, My dad texted her the location of where we were eating lunch at and she texted back that she and her kids were going somewhere else. She also texted my dad today to ask what time we were visiting my grandpa and I'm pretty sure purposely went another time. Was I in awe? Not the asshole. How disrespectful to help yourself to someone else's money, especially after being in hospital after a stroke. How does she think that is acceptable? Not only that, she was doing it without his consent, so that is certainly attempting to steal his money. Funny how you embarrassed her, but I would have berated her. Not the asshole. She was going to steal from your grandpa while he was in hospital for a stroke, that's disgusting. Not the asshole. She was going to steal from your grandfather. Can you please tell the nurse to have security take his wallet and put it away in a locker where she can't get at it? Not the asshole. And do your grandpa a favor and have your dad remove his wallet from the hospital room so she can't pull that ST again. Not the asshole. Your aunt was actually stealing. Your grandfather did not give his permission for anyone to take his money. Not the asshole. She was actually going to steal. She should be embarrassed over her behavior. Update. Am I the asshole for calling my brother an idiot when he believed my nephew is my kid? First post. Not sure if anyone still cares, but I know a few wanted an update about this. This whole thing was a lot crazier than I originally thought. Even if the final judgment said I wasn't the asshole, I still apologized anyways for insulting him just so that my hands are clean of this. But I still told my brother how hurtful it is that he doubt my word. Instead of trying to ask me, he outright accused me having an affair with his wife and fathering a child with her. If he seriously thinks it was me, then I'd do the test. He'd have to pay for it, but he better get used to not having me around because we are done after this. Clearly the test came back showing I'm not the father. Only showing what percentage of DNA we share given that we're uncle and nephew. Not only that, a day after posting this I'd reached out to Maeve again demanding to know what this whole thing started from. Pretty much he suspected she was having an affair because one time he came to her work and she wasn't there. Later on that day she acted like she did go, but he never told her he stopped by. In reality she had to consult with a lawyer because she decided to get a divorce. But he didn't know about the divorce at the time. My brother still thought she was maybe cheating and he went through her stuff. Maeve admitted that my brother found her personal journal. She didn't want to tell my family the details about the fight because it was regarding what he read from her journal and some of the stuff was about her still having feelings for me. He confronted her, so that's how he misinterpreted the whole thing, thinking it was an affair with me. Even though she said in her journal she never wrote it to sound like we were having an affair. She was only admitting still being in love and feeling guilty about being with him only for my nephew's sake. I heard my brother's side too once he was more calm. He too admitted that it got to his head when really nothing in the journal said anything about us. While now I can understand his feelings about what was going on, I still can't forgive him for the way he acted since then. Again, he never asked to hear my side before jumping to accusations. He apologized for it. Maeve did too for unintentionally dragging me into this because she didn't want anyone to find out about her feelings. It's pretty complicated. I needed a day to unplug just to process everything. As far as I know, my brother still hasn't come back to their house. Maeve is still moving forward with the divorce process. Whole thing is a mess. My mom keeps trying to push me to talk to my brother because he feels bad how he treated me, but I already set my condition for doing the paternity test. If he was so sure that I'd be the kind of brother to betray him that way, then we have no business having a relationship. For now that's what I'm sticking to. Thanks for the update. Crappy situation for all of you. Still not the asshole. You set forth your conditions. He knew what would happen if he pushed for this paternity test. Now he has to live with the consequences. This is none of your mother's business. This is just between you and your brother. Your brother may feel bad now, but only because he has proof that he's an idiot. You set your conditions. He still charged forth confident that the kid was yours so he wouldn't have to deal with you. Now that he knows that the kid is his, now he realizes he effed up. You do what you got to do in regards to your brother. He hurt you deeply with his accusations. That does not go away with apologies. Tell your mom that you need time and that, "I'm sorry," does not begin to heal the deep wound he gave you. Serious question. Why couldn't your brother take a paternity test to confirm that he is the father rather than you taking a paternity test to confirm that you're not? It seems like he took a much more complicated and painful path to get his answer. Your brother is extremely insecure and immature. Not only was he stalking his wife because he misinterpreted passages in her journal, which is supposed to be private, but also believed you betrayed him and slept with his wife and fathered a child. Now, he's lost both his wife and his brother. I'm not going to tell you whether or not you should repair your relationship with your brother because I don't know whether or not he's behaved this way before. I will suggest keeping your distance from him until you're ready to be anywhere near him. Right now, you don't owe your brother anything. Still not the asshole. Be there for your nephew. Good luck with everything. Your brother sucks ass, but also can we appreciate that instead of cheating on him she did the right thing and went to divorce? The only thing wrong was not telling you why the fight happened. This all started cause your brother, instead of asking his wife and telling her that he knew she wasn't at work, decided he'd be Detective Catch a Hoe, and look where it got him.